to hide, a doorway that I run through in the night. Relax, child, you were there, but only didn't realize, and you were scared. It's a place where you will learn to face your fears, retrace the years, and ride the whims of your mind. Commanding in another world, suddenly you hear and see this magic new dimension. It's a place where you will learn to face your fears, retrace the years, and ride the whims of your mind. Commanding in another world, suddenly you hear and see this magic new dimension. I will be watching over you, I am gonna help you see it through. I will protect you in the night, I am smiling next to you in silent lucidity. I will be watching over you, I'm gonna help you see it through. I will protect you in the night, I am smiling next to you inside of lucidity.
Visualize your dream, record it in the present tense, put it into a permanent form. If you persist in your efforts, you can achieve dream control. Dream control.
How are we feeling today, dream control, dream control, dream control. If you open your mind for me, you won't rely on open eyes to see. The walls you build within come tumbling down, and a new world will begin. Living twice at once, you learn you're safe from pain in the dream. If you like to gamble, I tell you I'm your man. You win some, lose some, it's all the same to me. The pleasure is to play, it makes no difference what you say. I don't share your creed, the only card I need is the ace of spades. The ace of spades. Playing for the high one, dancing with the devil, going with the flow, it's all a game to me. 7 or 11, snake eyes watching you. Double up or quit, double stake or split, the ace of spades. The plenty. I know you got to see me. Read on and weep the dead man's hand again. I see it in your eyes. Take one look and die. The only thing you see, you know it's gonna be the ace of spades. The ace of spades.
Welcome, my friends, to XboxEra. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course, XboxEra.com, your destination for the best news, reviews, and features, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcasts listened to in over 50 countries worldwide, our in-depth reviews, our own merch store for the coolest in gaming threads, and of course Day One, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. We're a small, agile and independent publication, and importantly, we're completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can become one of the cool kids by supporting us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us grow even larger. Thank you for your support. XboxEra is only made possible by the support of an amazing community, and in particular our legendary and growing army of Patreon supporters. Our executive producers, Top, The Scarecrow 121, Peter B, Not Jack, Mohammed Sherez, Kevin S, Korkenstein, Jordan White, Jordan Andal, Frankie C, Terran H, and Britt. Our amazingly generous grand benefactors who take their support and dedication to XboxEra to another level. Krat56, an assassin. And then there's our boss, our leader, our shining light in times of darkness, the one and only XboxEra's CEO, Torn Raptor. You guys are all fucking awesome. If you enjoy the content XboxEra produce and want more of it, and you're not a patron, consider heading over to patreon.com/XboxEra, pledge your support, and get cool swag in return.
Part of our reason for trying to get a subscription going was to allow us to also support games that have a beginning, middle, and end. Like, I think that the synergies between, I want to play a game, indie's not a small game, but like say indie, and then when I finished Avowed's coming, I loved even from our dev direct, like all of those were single player games.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of XboxEra Headlines. The date is February 11th, 2025. Today, Jesse and I, Aarsal, not Jon, will be talking you through all the latest in gaming news from across the industry. Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, PC, you name it. As a bonus for our wonderful patrons, we'll make an audio version of these episodes available to them via Patreon for their use in their preferred podcast app. And if they're on Spotify, they can link their account to Patreon and listen to it within the app. And if you want to become one of these Patreon legends, simply head on over to patreon.com/XboxEra. Okay, if you hadn't told, I was reading that off of a blurb. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of XboxEra Headlines. It is not your usual co-host today. I'm filling in for Jon because Jon is actually in our neck of the woods. Right, Jesse?
He's at DICE in Las Vegas for the DICE Awards to hobnob.
It's a big woods.
I mean, America's very large.
Massive.
Sideways. It's also pretty large top to bottom. You can drive the length of it in a day-ish, but
yes.
A lot longer if you try and go lengthwise. But yeah, so Jon's out at DICE in Las Vegas to talk to folks and hobnob and do the stuffs. So it's myself and Aarsal this week. We are later today, both because of the South of Midnight previews. I did get to play it. Jon has our preview on the site if you want to go watch or read it. If you're wondering why it went up late, it's because our PR person unfortunately put an hour later than they were supposed to in the email to us. So we didn't know.
Sabotage. It's all sabotage.
But I have also played the entire thing. Yes. So I can talk about it
we'll
as well.
Be talking a lot about South of Midnight.
Complaining about the story and not understanding what's going on. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
that definitely. We'll also be going through some of the news for the last few days, including some stuff we touched on in the Saturday show as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into the biggest news piece. Let's do the biggest one first, right?
The headline.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with the South of Midnight previews, which the embargo was earlier today, 11 a.m. Eastern, so roughly 2 hours ago. And for the most part, they seem pretty positive overall.
And generally have been. Yeah, so there are a few. I know Destin had issues with the story. I do think he just missed that. He knows it's a chapter 3, but I'll jump ahead in the footage here. He knows it's in chapter 3, but in the actual guide they gave us, because it's chapter 3, they let us know, hey, this is the story so far, and this is who Mahalia is and why you're following her to get all these abilities in chapter 3.
I did watch Destin's preview. I think it's a little weird being so focused on the story in a preview. Previews are generally more about like the gameplay elements and things like that, especially if you're thrown in. Like, are you going to judge a movie thrown in an hour into it? Watching 10 minutes of a movie an hour into it? Like, come on.
So for anyone wondering, South of Midnight, you are a young woman. There's a hurricane coming. You and your mom are trying to prepare for it. You leave the house for a split second, and the house gets washed away in a flood. Turns out you are
the whole house, right?
Yeah, the whole house is just going down the river. And the entire game takes place in one day, which is why when people were surprised that it was like 10 to 12 hours, they're like, there's a sense of urgency to everything. You are trying to be fast and not video game. This is a quest. Oh my God, go do this. The world's ending. No, I'm going to head that way. And I'm going to forage for 20 hours and do other side quests and come back. And it's like, no, it's a linear thing. Big focus on storytelling, immaculate feeling for this area, I think.
So how much of it did you play, Justin?
The whole thing. I played the entire preview, which is all
how big was the preview?
Chapter 3. So you could essentially, if you knew what to do and where to go and just mainlined it, I don't know, 35 minutes. But if you actually wanted to explore and find the little floofs, which you use to power hazels, weaving up and explore, I think I spent, how long is this clip? About an hour. So I spent about an hour doing it. They said it could be upwards of 3 if you went everywhere and found everything. So
have they talked about how many chapters the game's going to have?
14, I believe, is what they said.
Okay.
And we got to play.
So that sounds that sounds very reminiscent of older games, having like 10 to 14 chapters, each one roughly an hour long, some a little less, right?
And it has been interesting to see people out there who have done a lot of previews versus who haven't done a bunch. Because there are just glaring technical issues in this, which are all noted in the preview guide. And it's always that hard thing of, I know that this is an old build that was stable, and that's why they gave it to us. So it doesn't have vertical sync. The camera controls are kind of broken, where you have to move the stick a lot for it to start moving. And then once you do, it goes too fast, which doesn't feel the best. But like as they work on that and they do various things over time, you note them down, I think, in your preview coverage, but you don't accept them because even as you see right here, you can't change most of the UI stuff. You can't change sensitivity. All that type of stuff is just work in progress, locked off, can't touch it. So for previews like this,
I mean, this preview build has got to be what, like a month old?
Never
at
know.
Least, and we're still 2 months out from release.
Quite often it could be older. You never know. Game is gorgeous. We only got to play it on Xbox because the PC version for me just tried to download and install the entire game, so it was like 3 times bigger than the preview build on Xbox. So only Xbox coverage. Enjoyed it quite a bit. My internet being shitty.
It is a little bit for me, but I think on the stream you're okay. Your voice is cutting off in a bit for me.
Yeah, YouTube is having issues. Thanks, YouTube. YouTube sucks. YouTube's not receiving enough video. It's like, I just tested my upload. I have 50 megabits. I'm only trying to use 12. So sorry if there's any. If
okay, right. Let's just dive into some of the parts of it, because I mean, South Midnight's a big game made by Xbox first party, obviously, Compulsion Games, right? So before you played the preview, what were your expectations going into this? Because you've played a couple of the previous games, right? You played We Happy Few.
So Contrast, I believe, was third. We Happy Few was first person. We Happy Few didn't play great at launch, and as they went through and got each DLC, I think, got progressively amazing. So it has been interesting to see them move to third-person action platforming in a way they haven't really done. Contrast just wasn't that type of game. I would say the combat...
It's a pretty big departure from the previous stuff.
Combat and platforming are serviceable. They don't reinvent anything. They're not amazing. It is also early. It's always really hard to tell. You get the basic bones of a game, but the optimization and the touching up to sort of just give you that final feel is always so hard to know what it's going to be. Previews are just
in the preview
their own thing. People treat it like a mini review, and it is not. You're not playing the final build.
In the preview itself, because in some of the footage we've seen of the game, there's boss fights. Did you guys fight any bosses in the preview, or?
So essentially this chapter, there are tougher and tougher enemies you fight. Every enemy encounter is generally tied to a story beat. Like, it's not like there are some, but most of the enemy encounters, especially in the later half, are specifically tied to learning the backstory of the game. It is also funny that this registered as a Game Pass game and gave me Microsoft rewards when I was playing it.
That's funny.
The Insider program now just treats it like an actual game and not an insider build, which is very nice.
Yeah.
But so this one is about you see Catfish. He's stuck in a tree, being held there by a giant tree man under this enormous peach tree. And so essentially you are learning the backstory of what happened, what this peach tree is, and helping heal it. So while there is combat, you are fighting the bad memories and feelings versus a boss. Like, the boss is the tree who you must heal to let Catfish go. That was the impetus on this level. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That looks interesting. And that's just a couple chapters out of a fair bit more, huh?
Yeah. So they quickly told us what happened in chapter 1 and 2. Obviously, we don't get to see the opening cutscene or play any of them. I wouldn't be shocked if they were kind of short, because you unlock double jump, float, and a bunch of other stuff during this chapter. So I'm guessing the first two might be more basic and just learning the world and stuff, all guesses, because you unlock a lot of stuff in this one. Yeah. It's probably I would imagine those are more combat focused, because she already had her Weaver tools and her main fighting. 3 of the 4, it looks like, main fighting abilities were already unlocked and upgradable. So I'm guessing 1 and 2 are about learning the backstory and learning how to fight. I think the game is stunning to look at, and I don't think it's Unreal 5. I think it is Unreal 4. It looks Unreal 4 because I think sometimes when the games don't need it, there's no reason to kind of push to updating to 5. Like a game like Avowed made sense because it's open world. This is a linear, smaller level game. I don't think those benefit a ton from switching to 5 late in dev, and it looks amazing. Ran really well. The main issue was the screen tearing, but they are targeting.
Speaking of it running, so they've said that they give the option to remove the stop motion feature, right? Did you try playing around with that at all?
I'd never even thought about doing it. No, it did not bother. So the camera itself is a smooth 60 when you're moving it around.
Yes.
It's just the character animations. And I get, for some people, that stop motion look. I know, I've reviewed Didactic. I know what I'm talking about. Avowed is not open world. It's giant open hub levels, as they have talked about previously. Way bigger levels than a game like this would have. That's what I meant. But
which I prefer personally, rather than one big open world.
Yeah. The gameplay parts, it's just your character and other characters animating more on like the twos, but the actual world and everything else is a very smooth 60.
Yeah, honestly, I never really fully understood the complaints there. It looks fine. In fact, it kind of gives its own charm to it using it. It just kind of feels, for the people that got like motion sickness, I get it. But for everyone else, kind of feels like complaining for the sake of complaining.
Yeah, like there are people where it legitimately just gives them a headache. And so it's nice. You can turn it off in the gameplay. You cannot turn it off in the cutscenes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Because it did seem like that was like a design choice they wanted to stick with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they
like the whole thing opened up with that stop motion animation that they released last week or 2 weeks ago.
That's cool. So
that's how it all started. Really impressed. Like a very small team making a smaller focused, smaller budgeted $40 title. It's the type of thing everyone champions and says we need more of. So I am hoping people don't say, oh, well, this doesn't feel AAA and shit on it, because like I noticed with Eternal Strands, so many people don't seem to actually want the budget AA or the really good AA stuff. Like they want AA that looks and feels like AAA, which means it costs AAA money. That is what AAA means. It's budget. Like this is a smaller game from a smaller studio that can only exist as that clip I played of Phil talked about. For that, you can see the full interview, by the way, this Saturday at 5 p.m. It'll be a part of that podcast. They can make these games because of Game Pass. Like it is the saving grace essentially for them to do it
without worry, right? Like other studios can try and make these games, get publishing, get funding for it, but there's always that concern where it's like, what if no one at all buys it? Right? Like,
and there is still worry. There's always going to be some form of worry, but they've got more avenues for this stuff to exist at all. So like, they've got more and essentially also making it multi-platform just gives it way more of a chance to ever get greenlit. It's really hard right now.
Not multi-platform yet, right?
No, South of Midnight and Avowed are both just Xbox. They'll probably, if it warrants it, if they've got time for the ports, if they think it'll make money, anything can be multi-platform. That is the way to look at it. It could be. There's no guarantee anything would be. I imagine live service games are higher on the priority.
Yes,
but there's no reason to think this couldn't eventually go everywhere.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially later on in the development process. Right now, you're focusing on releasing it, making sure it's in a good shape for release. Then later, as you retouch it, why not?
And smaller, like Obsidian's a smaller studio, and Compulsion's even smaller. So that means, I mean, even look at Playground, which is decent size, and they still need a company to help them port to PlayStation for Forza.
Yeah.
So it's like ports aren't cheap, but they aren't easy. Like we saw from the Sony leak. Like porting a game can be $2 million, and you're like, okay, we need to sell at least 60,000 copies of this. And something like Hi-Fi Rush didn't seem to even pay for itself to be a port, but like Pentiment did. So it's a bit of a gamble that they end up knowing more on, and I would just expect it more with upcoming stuff.
The only guarantee, though we're not going to talk about this much, is of Xbox games is that we're going to release on Xbox platforms.
Yeah, the main thing I would take away from this, the combat generally is there to serve the story from what I saw. Like all of these fights, I'm going from...
So the combat, was there like a skill tree that you upgrade as you play through? Or unlock more moves? Or
So they gave us 3 initial moves. I think there's 4 in total, with the last one being the grapple, which hadn't been unlocked yet. They're all on a cooldown. They've all got their own little upgrade paths. You have to search around the area to find the floofs, which are like little blue wispy things in the environment to upgrade them. Also, whenever you finish a combat encounter, you might get some, and you've got a yoink in, push away, and entangle, essentially.
I know a lot of games, sometimes, especially near the start, the combat's not fully like as much as it's going to be later in the game, you know? Maybe there's a chance that South of Midnight, that chapter 8, chapter 9-ish, the combat, kind of gets more into its own flow.
Well, there's a flow there where you've got big ass indicators that are yellow when they're up close and red when they're about to hit you, and you got to use B to dodge away. So it ends up becoming a rhythm, and you can't overcommit. So it's a very familiar combat, but it flows decently well.
I know some people say, oh, you got to reinvent the game. No, you don't got to reinvent. As someone in chat said earlier, you don't need to reinvent the game, especially when you're already doing something pretty unique in terms of the setting and the story and the presentation. Everything else needs to just be good, or good enough, I should say. Yeah, and the story seemed really interesting, very dark. Like this chapter itself is pretty depressing. And Midnight is rated M, I think. I thought it was, it's a full on M.
Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of people will see a more colorful or cartoony art style and assume it's, more colorful and cartoony as a story. And this one definitely is not.
A lot of the comparisons I'm seeing based purely off visuals, it seems, is from Kenna, Bridge of Spirits, right? Like Kenna, Bridge of Spirits was like a Pixar movie. Like it is not this from what I know.
Yeah, no, this is a like that tree is holding Catfish. The person that's a part of that tree had a very tragic backstory to say. I'm sure someone just said the entire goddamn thing in their preview, but like it's a story-based game, so you don't want to go too deep into the story. It's just like giving more tones and stuff. But like even as you get to the end and you're going through, as you've done all the combat and stuff, you start working your way up the tree man. There is wall running. Every combat encounter,
Yes,
also, as far as healing goes, every time you defeat an enemy and press Y to unravel them, you'll get a little bit of health back. And there's one big health bubble you can hit for a small amount of or it's a decent chunk of your health to come back.
Okay.
If you
that's
die, you come right outside the combat you just had. Can do it again with full health bar. It's
no difficulty options in the preview, or were there some?
not that I saw. No.
Okay.
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 The combat is you take a lot of damage if you get hit. So it is really focused on dodging from being hit. As long as you are okay at that, it wasn't overly difficult.
So being nimble is a big part of it.
Being
Okay.
ready to
Okay,
dodge whenever the indicator turns red, really.
Last thing I want to ask you is when you finished the preview, right? You played as much as you could have. What were you feeling? Did you want to just keep playing it? Were you like, okay, I'm okay to stop in here? Like,
I was extremely excited to eventually get to it. Now,
okay,
John,
all right.
John might try and steal the review. If he does, what can I do? Like this escape sequence at the end. This wall running's pretty automated. Like the moment you touch it, you're just wall running, and you can move up or down to change it. It's not hard. I would say nothing was overly difficult. It was all there to service the story, which I was greatly appreciative of. Double jumps are great. Double jump into a glide, into a wall run. All resets the moment you touch a wall and start running. You can then double jump and glide again, like all that type of stuff. It might feel bog standard, but I would say it felt good. And it was absolutely stunning to look at, especially as you start climbing up the tree guy at the end.
Honestly, the game looked like it got worse looking in that cutscene compared to the gameplay you're showing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, because that cutscene was like a ghosty realm where everything just got super huge. So it looks good natively, but YouTube bit rates and stuff.
Someone in chat asked, does the game have HDR?
It does. They did say it's using auto HDR in this build because their implementation of HDR was not ready.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. That's good. Okay. That is South of Midnight. If anyone in chat has any questions for Jesse, who's played the game, feel free to pop them in.
And John's got a full preview that's up on the website and this channel.
Moving on to the next thing is, of course, the PSN outage. We won't go on here for too long. We were talking about it on Saturday too. I think it was out for, what was it, around almost exactly 24 hours?
Yeah, it was like 25 total, I think.
The exact tweet that PlayStation gave was, network services have fully recovered from an operational issue. We apologize for the inconvenience and thank the community for their patience. All PlayStation Plus members will automatically receive an additional 5 days of service.
Yeah, according to one of our community members, operational issue sounds like what you would say on a DDoS attack. Because a lot of services have been getting DDoSed very heavily lately.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, all right. The B button dodges.
Yeah, A jumps, X attacks, Y unravels, B dodges, and then you could see what the other buttons were in the top left during combat.
But yeah, Sony's thing is down. I think a lot of people started almost, I don't want to say hoping, but like worrying that it was going to be a longer outage.
Yeah, like
25 hours.
Was it 2012 when it was 21 days that it was
2011.
out? 20, yeah.
23 days, I think.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, PlayStation was
right
out
in
for
the
a
middle of
while.
my
But then
high school age, and oh my God.
They made everyone happy by announcing a state of play tomorrow. So all the insiders who kept saying the 14th, which was always weird because they pretty much always do it on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
They weren't going to do it Friday, especially like friggin' a holiday in the US, which is still a thing they'd think about.
Valentine's,
most gamers aren't going out on dates anyways, so.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, there is a state of play coming tomorrow at a really kind of stupid time of 5 p.m. Eastern.
That's almost when they always do them.
PST.
Yeah.
I don't like that time. It's who's free. Okay, here's a quick gripe. This goes Sony and Nintendo. What's up with announcing a day before, guys? Can you give like a couple days head notice? Like, come on, dude. I want to watch this thing. I'm gonna need to change work shifts. It's just annoying. But yeah, state of play is announced tomorrow. It is a state of play, right? Not a PlayStation showcase. So expectations should, of course, be
like their
tempered.
last state of play was good for a state of play, but then people were upset that it wasn't showcase level. It's like, no, it was fine for a state of play. I get being annoyed because they haven't had a showcase in so long. But I don't like this one.
Yes.
The main first party things one could expect are Fair Games, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2. They might not all be there,
Yes.
but those would be the types you would expect. A lot of people are really hoping they got their Bloodborne going
Oh
because
God.
Sony
All of them.
Sony DMCA'd multiple Bloodborne fan projects. So people are
Oh.
hoping Bloodborne in some form would be there. But like I imagine there's going to be a lengthy segment for Death Stranding 2. That would be my guess, like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I'm assuming because they say it's 40 plus minutes long. They say their exact words are tune in live for news and updates on great games coming to PlayStation 5, which makes me think we might get like a Helldivers 2 trailer as well, maybe. But yeah, it's state of play. If it goes anything like the previous ones, it'll be roughly 60%.
I don't think Helldivers 2 would be there. They just had a
Actually, you're
trailer
right. They
at
just
the
had
Game
one.
Awards,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, you're right. Updates is probably referring to like Death Stranding 2 and stuff like that.
and I like Bloodborne, Abdul. It's one of my lower tier games from it's above Demon's Souls and maybe 1. I quite like Dark Souls 2, 3, and Elden Ring. Sekiro goes higher. Armored Core is at the bottom, of course.
Bloodborne's fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
it has
it's
some
a
of the
really
best
good
bosses in the game,
Yeah.
some of the best music.
It
Possibly
just runs
the best
in-
visuals.
It runs like shit and it's very fuzzy. So
It's
I
so
understand people wanting it to finally be
Yeah.
in a better state. I get
Like
that.
I'll tell you this much: if it does get a 60 FPS update, I'm playing it again. Like I'm just looking for an excuse to play that game again. The Blood Valve system is terrible though, and single-handedly brings it down the other games. I will die by that. But it's the state of play is going to be like 60% indie or smaller games, including VR, and then it's going to have like 2 to 3 big trailers, most likely.
Like
I guess
if
the
it was
question-
something huge, it would be a showcase.
pretty much,
It can still be
yeah.
a big state of play. People are all hoping like June showcase level, and I wouldn't expect it.
Jesse, what do you think? You think we're going to get Xbox there tomorrow? You think they're going to show up in some form or way?
There's always a chance. You never know.
I think it's too soon for Indiana Jones. It's coming out in spring, which makes me think like April. You know what I mean?
Well, spring ends in June, so
Yeah, exactly. It's quite a bit of time. Okay. Continuing on. Next is Warner Bros. According to Bloomberg, Wonder Woman is years away if it ever makes it to market. It was rebooted and switched directors early 2024. It's kind of the rough reality of game development. In this case, games are hard to make. Warner Bros. Has not been in a great spot gaming wise lately. They've had obviously the really big hit in 2023. 23, yeah, with the Hogwarts Legacy, right? And they're definitely working on a sequel. And no matter what the Bloomberg article says, a Hogwarts Legacy sequel will do gangbusters, obviously, especially considering it'll likely release to coincide with the new Harry Potter TV show, which is being made and will release in the next couple years. But Wonder Woman was, we were pretty excited about it, I think. It's made by Monolith, right? So the guys that made Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. And it, I don't know, it's hard to say. You think the game releases probably later?
I think it will. It just never has any chance of being successful because it's already had $100 million spent on making it, and then it got a full reboot. So you can reuse stuff, but that means it's not coming for a while. It already has that big of a budget. Does that budget double? Like not many games can make back $200 million. So it runs into that Ubisoft situation where they can release a game and it sells millions of copies and it loses hundreds of millions of dollars because they, by the time, as I said many times, by the time Beyond Good and Evil comes out, number 2, it could have cost $1 billion because it's over.
No way.
Yeah, no, it does. They're still making it,
way.
and they're excited about it. But it's also going to be 20 years of making it by the time it comes out. It could have cost upwards of $1 billion. It has no chance of making that back. So Warner Brothers had really bad management for a while. It would appear from the outside, allegedly, supposedly, and that guy left, and they are in a complete shitball of a situation.
Reshuffle too, I'm guessing. I mean, a reboot, at the very least, this news could have easily have just been, oh, we've canceled the game and shuttered Monolith, right? Like that easily could have been the news. That isn't, which is a good thing overall. Reboot can mean a lot of things. It can mean that they're still reusing the same assets. It can mean they're completely switching engines. It can mean literally anything until we know more information. Like it's hard to say. But yeah, we're probably not going to see this for at least 3 to 4 years, I'd say, minimum.
Wouldn't be shocked.
Also announced in that same piece is Rocksteady is looking to go back to a single player Batman game. Dang, wonder who talked about that here.
He's made sure to let everyone know.
Yes,
and a lot of people have replied saying to him, "Oh, that just makes sense." You just guessed. It's still a guess from you. It just makes sense. When he said it the first time, everyone's like, "No shit." But it's like, yeah, he did put it out there. Nick said Rocksteady is in the very early stages of a Batman game.
So the games, though, right? Didn't what's his face? Oh my god, the guy running the DCEU.
Oh, James Gunn. He wanted things to be canon. I don't think they ever will be. It's too hard.
Yeah, you think he'll still stick with that with these, because these games are now in development.
He will want to try, but then realize that games get canceled too much. It's too volatile, takes too long. I can't imagine it would work.
Makes sense. That being said, if fast forward 3-4 years from now, and the DCU should be in like full blast, you know what I mean? Like a movie coming out every year, twice a year, that would fit in pretty nicely, slot in nicely with new game releases too. I'm just saying, especially if the Batman Beyond rumors are right.
I don't think they're rumors as much as they're hopes.
Sorry, hopes.
Yes,
hopes.
People are hoping that they move into Batman Beyond games and stuff, but it's like nobody knows. Kids don't know Batman Beyond at all. They just don't.
Yeah. Also, I doubt they'd. Personally, I don't think they're going to go back to Arkham Batman. I think that story's finished, completed. Especially if James Gunn wants them to tie into the movies, right? But we'll see.
Finally, if it's not. The very last update did the final story beat.
Where it's like for Suicide Squad.
You did not kill any of the Justice League. In Suicide Squad, you killed their clones. Because Brainiac couldn't completely take over their minds, but he could subjugate them, or he could, knock them out. They're there. He's got their minds. Clones of them go and do his bidding. And as I said a few times, like the whole plan was over the seasons, you learn this, unlock each Justice League character by saving them, and then get to play as them, which would have been amazing. But the game failed, and they just ended up saying, "Okay, it was all clones" at the end.
To be fair, I feel like if that was the plan, then I personally would have liked to have just played as the Justice League from the beginning.
I think they wanted to build up everything to be bigger for that, to be like the thing that keeps people coming back once they realize.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Kevin Conroy had done all the voice work for Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League before he passed. James Thomas. Yeah. So it was his last project, I think, along with a cartoon.
There's a lot of talented voice actors out there. There's a lot of people that could play Batman.
Yeah, the guy who played him in Arkham Shadow, who did him in Arkham Origins, is really good.
Oh, he was the same guy's Origins.
I think so. I remember reading that. I might be wrong.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, moving on. This one was sad news, but also kind of not the end of the world. Is Football Manager 25, which is Football Manager is a pretty popular franchise. Every year, this
extremely shockingly,
like very popular franchise. Football Manager 25 was canceled. At first, when I read this, I'm like, "What the heck does this mean?" And then I realized, oh, it just means they're just moving on to the next Football Manager 26, right? Like, in terms of the reasoning for why they say that we could have pressed on, released Football Manager 25 in its current state and fixings down the line, but that's not the right thing to do. We are also unwilling to go beyond a March release as it's way too late in the football season to release a game, which makes perfect sense. And I think this is something we might see happen, maybe not with EA games because of the sheer money they have, but yearly game releases are becoming more and more unsustainable.
Mm-hmm. And this one, someone said it on the Discord. I don't know if it's right, but supposedly they were switching engines to Unity, which is a big reason why they were struggling so hard to get the gameplay loop and everything working. It's not a game of actually playing football or soccer. It is you're managing teams and all that. I have no idea how it works. I've never played it, but supposedly an engine change really screwed things up.
That would make sense. That makes it's published by Sega, of course, or Sega.
Good.
Yeah, no, you can go.
I was just saying, and typically it is, and this one was going to be a day one Game Pass launch. So
yes, it's been on Game Pass for a little while now. In fact, I should know that. I've done the video reviews for Fairies Reviews many times now. They're always very long, very thorough.
Yeah.
Go check them out. But I kind of got to give props to the development studio here. it would have been really easy to just release a broken game, still collected the money because everyone's used to buying these things every year. Or maybe I guess Sega should be given the props here because they're the publisher. They're the ones who would have wanted them to say, we don't care, release it by March, right? But they chose not to. They said, you know what? We're not going to release a completely broken game. Yes, it does suck in the sense that the game is... See, the weird part is they say cancel, right? But it's essentially delayed a year. If you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I guess this release is canceled, but with
Yes.
yearly games, like does this work just
God.
immediately go into the next
Haven't.
one? It's it is always hard, especially because these are very successful money-making games. So it is surprising to see something just be outright canceled. A lot of times you also fear for the devs in this one, but they're smaller and have had enough success that hopefully they'll be fine and weather it all.
Yeah.
No, it was
imagine the
very
budget
surprising
for
to see.
a game like this is hopefully not too high, considering it is more of like about management rather than game mechanics.
Mhm.
You know. Okay, continuing on. God, this freaking cat will shut up. Okay, sorry. This is the E3, the new E3, right?
Nope.
Yes.
Not even a little bit.
This is not it. ESA. Okay.
It is a new. So it's the actual networking side of E3, not what everyone thinks of E3 as.
That's what I meant. Yeah. The industry centric.
The industry side of E3. But whenever you say E3, people think
June
showcases.
I meant like actual E3.
Yeah,
like
actual industry hobnobbing, deal making, and going over strategies to maximize revenues.
But basically, the ESA, who was under fire years ago for leaking the data, blah blah blah. Either way, the guys that ran E3, they're announcing a new kind of conference that's in the spirit of the original E3 in terms of it being an industry show more than anything else, a place for people to come in, game developers and industry members, network. I'm assuming is probably like the main focus, because one thing you'll realize what E3 is when you speak with developers. These events weren't just about the super high tense and high stress demos that they put on, or the big showcases, which happened before E3. They were about people meeting up, everyone being in the same place, taking meeting after meeting, and blah, 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 and really kind of showing things off. That's what
giving each other COVID.
100%. Before COVID, giving each other probably every other flu and CD in the market. But yeah, it's good that this is coming back. Will it stick? I don't know. They already have a lot of...
they've got everyone behind it. So as long as it's doing what it's supposed to do, which is the focus on industry businessman, speaking to industry businessman, getting deals done, it doesn't have that. And I do think everyone started leaving E3 and stopped showing up. And that's why E3 died. Because it wasn't just about the conferences. It was like, well, you charge us $1 bajillion to be here on the show floor. We're not going to pay that anymore. But hey, you want us to show up for a bunch of meetings and we're just paying for flights and hotels? Cool.
Yeah.
And
I mean, E3 had the issue with them trying to, do both things, be a big consumer show like Gamescom.
And it was a bad consumer show. It was not good to attend as a consumer. Like Gamescom's not great.
Yeah.
It's so busy if you don't get in there on that first day.
And even Gamescom, they've been reducing the trade part of the show, right? Before there were 2 full trade days. Now it's just half of one, not even a full, just half of one.
Yeah, we had the morning that I could go in and actually go and see, and because like that was the only time I got to play anything outside of direct. Come to this, play at this time meetings in the business section. It did actually go through the floor and play stuff. I touched everything I wanted to on the Xbox floor for those 3 hours that it was open only for us. After that, it was just bam, 8 billion people in. And then the next day, 22 billion people because it was full public. It was like, oh, God.
So many people.
And like just the entrance that I think some of you guys had to walk through.
Oh, my God.
And we had the press entrance and we just walked directly in and go right in. And then everyone else is out there for like an hour.
We were given the runaround for so long. We went from here to here to here to here. It was crazy. But one thing I realized, and I think this is probably, I guess, not news for people that have been in industries for a while, is the sheer amount of like industry meetings that happen in a place like this, right? Cologne is in general an industry city. And a lot of people we talk to, they're like, yeah, we're here, but I got a meeting here. I got a meeting there. I got a meeting across the river, blah, 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 blah. It's like everyone from the industry is already here. They're taking advantage of that to do whatever they need to do in person, not just over the phone.
That was my very first review, by the way. Apple.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, you did the video back then. I wasn't. I didn't do my own videos until the next year because I did 3 reviews that year, which was Recore as a retro review, even though it was like 2.5 years old. Wasteland 3, which is still amazing, but running horribly on my laptop. And then Cyberpunk, which ran perfect for me. I had no problems with it on Xbox. And then I saw everyone else and I went, oh, wow. You guys
that
had
review,
a shitty version.
that Recore review still does views.
Yep.
Somehow. Like it's
it's a really pretty thumbnail. Like the retro thing he came up with is very nice looking.
So technically the first podcast wasn't Jesse. It was
some shitbag from Resetera, Jon and Nick.
Yeah, Fun Unknown, who I have no idea how they were even in here. My first episode that I watched of the show was episode 5, which is it's pronounced Green Eyes, right? Green Eyes? Either way, the name of the thing.
Eyes Green. Adam Eyes Green.
Eyes Green. It's pronounced Eyes Green. Sorry, yes. And it was a fantastic episode. That's what got me hooked. And then I think me and you joined the team similar timings, or you joined?
I joined the very first thing I did was July of 2020, I think. And then I really started doing it a lot in like the following January, February, because like, man, this is very fun and I hate my actual job. So I want to go do that. And thankfully Amanda, who's not here today, but I point where she normally is, who's also working on a review herself right now for Lost Records Bloom. She just like, yeah, go for it. And so I have. But I did not join the podcast until the 50s or 60s of episodes. Yes. Like it was Jon, Nick, and first Chironaut, and then they changed their name to Figments on screen. For the first, like, I don't know, it was like 50-ish episodes.
Something
I
like
never
that,
watched until they were gone.
I watched a little bit here and there. They and then I would ask Nick, be like, "Yo, what is happening, bro?" Like, it was interesting, yes. But Jesse's been reviewing for a while now, and man, if you go back and watch some of his earlier reviews, the quality difference is drastically different. Like he's gotten so much better. I had
literally I had never written anything like this. I had never narrated. I bought a $30 mic off Amazon because like I'm not going to spend a lot, and you can tell. Never written, never narrated, and before, God, I don't even remember what the first video is, but I'd never done any video editing ever before, so it's been a journey.
Yeah. So much Destiny talk back then. Oh my God, it was nonstop. But yeah, that is a little tidbit of XboxEra lore. In fact, you can go back and like watch some of our original videos. I think one of the first things we did was like a review for the Elite controller, I think.
Yeah, it was just Jon finding reasons to try and have fun video editing in Vegas.
That makes sense. Yeah, I joined the team because I've been like video editing since high school, like random YouTube videos. So then I figured, why not?
Yeah, I was on a little laptop with Xbox One I had a Series X, I think, or no, with an Xbox One X, and then eventually, upgrading to a Series console and very slowly building an incredibly powerful PC with a gigantic setup. And it's really funny to think back to how it used to look. It was a single laptop screen with one monitor.
Oh God, dude! Before long, we'll just look back at your year of no internet and laugh about it too. Right now, I think it's a little too raw still, so
no,
maybe give it some time.
I made it work.
That's true.
Partnerships have always been fine because we're very good at talking to people and they know it's us. So also people always conflate Nick and his Discord server as XboxEra when the actual XboxEra Discord is public and you can join it. I'll put the link in chat if you want to. You can see how decent the conversation it is, I think.
It's a great place with a ton of channels and honestly people active in almost every channel.
There's even a bunch of people excited about tomorrow's State of Play.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like
I would be excited if I expected it to be like a decent show, which I kind of don't, but
it's been long enough and it's 40 minutes. It might have some interesting things. I don't think it would be crazy. It might be the one, but also I would expect that out of a showcase. And
the issue with me is the main two things that are probably going to be shown I'm not that excited for, which is Death Stranding 2. Even though I like the first game, I don't know why it has a sequel, I'll be honest. And Ghost of Yotai. Ghost is extremely overrated in my opinion, but yeah. Also watch it tomorrow, and heck, maybe depending on what you guys want, if you guys want us to stream it or Jesse to stream it, let us know. Maybe we will. It's a terrible timing, but hey, maybe.
Yeah, I need to make dinner at that time. I already lose making dinner multiple times because of the podcast and whatnot. The main thing we'll be doing this Thursday. Avowed reviews will be out, so it'll be a show much like today. Starting off, you can ask me whatever you want about Avowed. I've played through it fully once. I've done a lot more of a second.
Noon, right?
No, it's 9 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, it's 9 a.m.
So the earlier we can go, the better for you.
Okay, all right. Then I think I might be able to do 12.
Yeah, an hour early would be nice.
Yeah, I'll get to you. Okay, all right, moving on. So next up on the list is something I guess everyone should have seen coming, but, it's kind of a weird game, which is Resident Evil 5 has been rated for Xbox Series. So it's happening. Of course, right? I mean,
not too long after 6 was rated for consoles in a different market.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Interesting. Huh.
They like re-releasing Resident Evil games.
Resident Evil
5 is shockingly short.
5, right? Yeah, 5 is pretty short game.
Yeah, if you know what to do, it's like 6 hours. I was always surprised by that. I don't remember 5 being hated at the time, but the tank controls definitely are rough. I'm not the biggest. I really don't like playing those. Like, I can't go back to the originals.
It's the first Resident Evil game with co-op, right? First and only, I think, actually.
No, 6 had it.
6 did have co-op.
6 was an action. 6 was a fun, dumb, not very good, but guilty pleasure action game.
6 was the one where you played as all like 5 different characters, I think, throughout the game.
I highly doubt it's a remake, Didact. I'm guessing it's just like a newer version for current consoles. I'd like to be wrong so that they can fix the controls, because I know 4 still uses tank controls in the remake, but it's modern tank controls, not you can't aim while shooting. Or you can't move while aiming, I meant to say. You must aim while shooting.
Yeah, I mean, 5 will. I have a friend that played through the whole thing with his brother just recently, actually, like 2-3 years ago, and he really liked it, right? And I was watching him play a little bit, and it looked extremely 2000s TV with the piss filter.
And it's not always. Some people call it a racist game. It's not the most culturally sensitive at times. With the way it depicts certain things, I doubt they'll change anything, because especially if it's just a graphical update to get it looking a little prettier on modern consoles.
I think if they were remaking it, they might have changed. In fact, they would have definitely changed some things. But if it's just like hey, upgrade the controls, update the graphics.
This looks like a 360 PS3 Unreal Engine era game, even though I don't think these ever ran on the Unreal Engine. It just looked like that. That being
said, I mean, if they're still making remakes, right, then I could see it happening. I mean, continue it. If I don't know if people.
But supposedly the next remake was 0. I think people said.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's always because they're like full steam ahead on 9, which is a thing that could show up at a Sony show. That's always got to remember that they've got. It seems like it seems like they have marketing forever on Resident Evil games from that leaked thing for like $10 million, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So 9, potentially starring Leon. Who knows? When we see about it.
Oh, that'd be really hype for a lot. I mean, I don't play Resident Evil games, but for a lot of people, that'd be a big
RE4 remake was the first one I really liked. I've never really liked a 7's kind of interesting and decently scary at times, but overall, like just the writing and the character stuff, it can be so bad in Capcom games.
With a friend that doesn't play games much, and we had a couple of the friends watching him play, and oh my god, so painful. Just staring at the ground, running. We're like, dude, please. Look at your surroundings. But yeah, no, Resident Evil 9 would be a pretty big announcement for tomorrow. Hey, maybe we get Persona 6. Yeah, all right.
You think if they had that many big things, it would be a showcase, but they might just be the showcase is always September type of mindset.
Yeah. And okay, it's 40 plus minutes, 10 minutes, or no, let me say 5 to 8 minutes will be VR. Probably like 10 minutes will be 15 minutes will be like smaller games, and just temper expectations. I'd say Sony never says that, but if you're looking forward to the show tomorrow, temper your expectations.
I would say it's more 30 minutes probably, Didact. If Death Stranding is there, I wouldn't be shocked if it gets a big chunk. That might not. You never know. But
especially because it's pretty close to release, right? Death Stranding 2?
No idea.
I think
it's this year, but they've never intimated when. That Ghost of Yote, like they've got stuff this year. People always say, oh, they've got nothing coming. It's like every platform has a billion games, but everyone gets so focused on who publishes what.
Yeah.
It's like Sony still has stuff coming. It's just they had a period there of non-stop large releases that sold a ton, and people got used to that, even though that is not the norm for them.
And then they had another period of the same non-stop large releases released again. In fact, they're still kind of in that period.
Yeah.
But hey, Bloodborne PC would be cool.
There's a big rumor about God of War stuff. That's the one which Nick has talked about many times in the past, and then would gloat about nonstop if it's right.
The trilogy, right?
Yeah, like some form of God of War trilogy remake or something about Egypt. Who knows?
I saw a rumor just recently saying that the new God of War is going to be a prequel, where you play as a younger Kratos. I don't buy it. That goes kind of against.
He also
everything.
wouldn't be a god at that point.
Literally, right? Like, and God of War prequels always confused me, where it's like, dude, what? He's just like a commander, guys. Like, but anyways, Resident Evil 5 rated. Do we see it tomorrow? Maybe, yeah. Like Jesse says,
pretty much anything Resident Evil is always them. So,
yeah. Okay, moving on is a quick information about Relic, which detailed their new business strategy following last year's split. So Relic split from Sega. Relic, for those who don't know, make a lot of pretty popular RTS games. And I think they had some issues, right, at one point? Or was that a different studio? Was that Saber?
I don't remember. I just know that Relic has worked on Age, and they split from Sega, like they bought their independence last year. Yeah. So
independently run studio, but okay. It intends to deepen its commitment to existing titles, including Company of Heroes 3. And they want to focus on 3 key areas. That's one of the areas. They also want to develop larger, complex strategy titles the games are known for, and also actively pursue the development and publishing of smaller scope in-house games. And then finally, this might be the most exciting for many people, is they plan to reimagine some of their classic games for modern audiences, which may include re-releases, remasters, or brand new franchise experiences that capture the spirit of the originals.
It's funny you don't know Relic that much. I'm pretty sure they're Canadian.
Yeah, they're Vancouver. Yeah.
And they as NC says in chat, my favorite game of theirs is Space Marine 1.
Oh, they did make Space Marine 1. Yeah. Relic made Age of Mythology, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Yeah, they made Age 4, Company of Heroes, original Space Marine. Those are like their big ones. I don't know if they did Mythology or not.
They didn't. I was thinking something else. But
Age of Empires 4 was the one they worked on for the Age games.
Yes. Actually, I was thinking of Rise of Nations, which was not Relic. That was the previous studio that got removed. Either MXF owns that. But in general, I want to say it's a good thing. RTS games it's always nice to have a different, branch of genres continuing to be successful. RTS games are doing pretty well. They had a bit of a resurgence last 3-4 years, I want to say. Age of Mythology did very well, which was nice. It was a fan favorite game. It was a great remake. I heard like 0 complaints about it from a lot of people. What was I going to say? And with so many older, also as an independently run studio, right? At this point, you can now be contracted by who knows what publisher to release who knows what older RTS game. There's a lot of them. Give me Red Alert 2 again, please. I spent a lot of my childhood trying to get that game working. But okay, all right. Moving on near the end of our list. Yeah, I saw this earlier this week, and it
I don't fully disagree.
Yeah,
it's just so Diablo co-creator. Christ, you probably have his name there. Forget it. He doesn't like how fast.
David Brevik.
Yeah, David Brevik does not like how fast you can level and how much gear you get and stuff. I don't disagree. I do think the issue is people's attention spans and amount of time they have for stuff. So if anything takes too long, you saw it with Destiny 1 was unbelievably hard to max level in. It took forever to max everything out. And then Destiny 2, it's not even a thing. You're not leveling anything except for your light level, which just goes up as you go through the game. And it was more popular than ever because casual people don't have the mental bandwidth and the time available to really live in something like that. In the original Diablo games, like leveling and getting the right gear and all that just was really hard. And then Borderlands jumped in and it was just about here you go. Let's go crazy and give you everything.
So Brevik worked on the original Diablo and also Diablo 2. And in the interview or in the article, they mentioned that he thinks the pace of Diablo 2 is great because it takes a player longer to level up. Slower progression makes it more satisfying when you reach that point. Here's my issue. I played Diablo 2 for the first time like 2 years ago, or I think even just last year. And I was playing a druid. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing 0 damage. Let me like follow a build or something to make sure I'm not having trouble. I finally make it through the game. It was a good game. But by the end of it, I'm like, I'm just done. I'm flipping finished. And it turns out that the bulk of the druid build is post-game, where you got to play the game again to actually do the fun and cool abilities. So I'm here thinking, like, what the hell, dude? Like, I just didn't have fun because most of this class comes place in the second playthrough.
I do think, and it's something that's going to come up later, but games that have a campaign and then it starts and the campaign is just more like a tutorial have a harder time resonating with Western audiences who aren't used to it. Because, like, as we're going to talk about Monster Hunter at the end, because I got a preview today from Eurogamer. The previous Monster Hunter games have always been, you got this little campaign, it's going to walk you through, it's going to teach you the mechanics, and then you start the Hunter rank grind. And you can play 300 hours of that to unlock everything. And I do think a lot of people,
and then you get the friggin' gem grind, which is, oh my god.
So and just back on this one, it's like, I think there is a shift for smaller games to get the focus on strategy. Like there's a game called Fly Knights that came out. That's like a first-person RuneScape that you can play co-op. And it's really slow and tactical. It's got like 5-6 hours of content. I think those are the types of games that can focus on being slow and tactical. And the Baldur's Gate 3s are the exception. Most people just aren't going to pick it up and live in a game. Kingdom Come 2 is an exception. People who really get into it live in that game in a way that you just can't in most things. Like people don't have the time. It's tough.
And a lot of people that do have that time, guess what? They're already spending it living in another game. They're playing WoW, they're playing FF14, they're playing Genshin or Zenless Zone Zero or whatever. Like it's hard to break into that as something trying to. The reason why I think he's completely and utterly wrong is because the market has proved him wrong.
That's the thing we always run into with people where they're like, there's the Elemental Shadow Dragon Link Wolf King guy who's always in chat and yelling, Capcom needs to give first person or single player titles. And it's like, they are, and they made less money year over year. Like people are loving what Capcom's putting out and they made less money. That's why they want and need some live service. Everyone wants and needs constant revenue generators. Like the market doesn't want to be oversaturated with single player titles. There's just people don't have enough money and they don't have enough time. Like that's the joke. How big is this game? Wow, look how big this map is. And then they look at their watch. Like I saw a cartoon today. It's like, I don't have any time. Uninstalled. Refund.
Yes, 100%. I think people realize that, oh, my game is hundreds of hours long. It's no longer the compliment people thought it was like 10 years ago. Because people have grown up. The audience that played single player games in the 2000s and the early 2010s is still that audience that plays single player games. They just don't have as many free time.
And now they got
the
kids.
New audience, they don't play that at all. They play their forever games, Fortnite, Genshin, whatever.
I asked my kids if they've heard of Monster Hunter, and they're like, nope. Never heard of it.
It's interesting. I asked my sister if she'd heard of. Actually, I didn't even ask. I was talking about Avowed, and she's like, "Oh yeah, isn't that game coming out with what?" I'm like, "The flip? How do you know about this?" And she's like, "Oh, it's the game with that cool art." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." Marketing.
Which oddly
that's
enough,
what we can talk about. Yeah,
like everyone knows now. Everyone's so busy. Everyone's always got a phone in their face and has got multiple screens on. You start your marketing like we didn't talk about having Phil on until a week before. Because any longer than that, and people just forget or get burned out and don't care. And with game marketing, you need to be close to the game coming out, and especially right when the games come out. That is when you really push. Like 2 weeks before to 2 to 3 weeks after. That is the main marketing time for games now. Because there's also like 17 other things coming out most of the time. So you're always fighting each other.
I remember there's this post on Era at the time, Kingdom Hearts 3, right? This game was hyped up for years and years and years. It releases, and then like a week later, or someone comments like, "Hey, why is no one talking about this game anymore?" Right? And that's the reality, guys. It's just too much stuff coming out.
That's our second to last story. Is literally how a game no one's talking about, so it must be dead, is making more money than ever.
Oh yes. which we can jump to. I mean, before that, we'll quickly mention. So Roblox, and this is all we know, by the way. They haven't given us any more information. Is that it is currently under investigation by the SEC, which is the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission.
Which means if they just complain to Elon Musk, it'll go away.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, how long until this commission stays?
Oh, especially because the Roblox founder guy or creator was like, Silicon Valley deserves to run the world. Not joking. He really thinks that. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Though what's interesting is in the same article they also talk about how in the current gaming landscape, it's not just the newly released games that have to compete with the forever games. It's the forever games themselves that have to constantly compete with each other. Roblox, for example, their shares dropped by 20% last week because that platform's reported daily active users fell short of their estimates. It's still probably absurdly high. Don't get me wrong, right?
Oh, it's like the gaming industry itself has stayed flat. So it's only making a few $100 billion. Like, for us as regular people, wow, that's great. But for them, it's always, are you doing more? Because investment is, I put in this money, and I get back more. So that is what they want. That is what they have to do. And it's not the way we think. Like we work and we make money, and they are, you work and we make money by having given you this and getting this back. So.
And I mean, if you look at it logically, if they wouldn't get more money back, why would they invest? Right? There's other places they can put their money in. Well, they'll get more money back. Why would they invest in this if they don't get anything back? Or sorry, if they don't get more than what they put in back, they could throw the money in the bank and get like 2% over a year, right? So they'll get at least something. But anyways, that's
but then with inflation and everything, it's losing like over time. That's why Microsoft is like, hey, we got all this, we can put it into assets. So people are like, they spent $67 billion. They shifted money that was depreciating into assets that will earn more back over time. That's how they'll look at it.
They'll spend decades remaking that $70 billion back. It's like, dude, they already did, bro. Like, we had the same conversation when they bought Minecraft in like 2012, but I guess people either forgot or were too young back then. I don't know. But yeah, okay, so quickly moving on. So speaking of games, like Jesse was saying, that have been doing very well that no one ever talks about, PUBG has never been more lucrative, publisher says, as it announces record-breaking earnings.
You can thank the people of big time. You can thank the people of India for their love of PUBG Mobile.
Oh God, and Pakistan. There's a lot of people there too that play PUBG Mobile like crazy. I think it got banned, and then they had to like reverse the ban because like it was too popular.
Was one specifically made for the region, and it's crazy.
Yeah. But for reference, last year they totaled nearly 1 trillion Korean won, which, I mean, won, who knows how much it is, roughly around 556 pounds. That's a pound symbol, right? I always mix those up with euros. Yeah, that's pounds. Euros is an E.
Yeah.
556 million pounds.
The euro is almost like a C, and then the pound is like the L.
Yeah.
Yeah, PUBG Mobile, which really looks like a mobile game because people don't want it to look fancy. They want it to be clean, so they can see what they're doing. Like that's all they care about. With bright yellow blood, if you pay for it, I'm sure. Like they are microtransaction hell, free to play games, and that is what people want. I know. We might not be in that group that are really focused on this type of stuff, but there are people who just all they want to do is look goofy in third or first person games as they murder people. Like it's all they care about.
100%. Of course, their publisher is Krafton, right? Which, if you're an Xbox fan, recognize the name because they're the ones who took over in, oh my God, I was about to say in Exile.
Tango.
They're the ones who took over Tango Gameworks and also purchased the IP for Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, and this is what pays for it. Like they've even said, he does not. The guy who owns Krafton is like, I don't expect to make any money on Hi-Fi Rush, which is why Tango was like he's not looking to make money on them, which is the reason why when they had to shut someone down and they're looking at studios to cut the shit to it always sucks because they're making more than enough money, but I understand why while still hating it. Also, what the fuck? This person's flying like Silver Surfer in PUBG.
This is insane.
But
PUBG Mobile,
like
this Indian one?
Yeah. It had a Indian guy playing it on the thumbnail.
Have you seen some of the stuff like people get for their phones? They got like these like phone controllers that like, oh God.
You got the ROG phones. I can have like the full coolers on the back and everything. But yeah, like
It's interesting. Yeah, sorry.
The only way the games so many of us tend to like get paid for is by this, like Minecraft and Call of Duty and other stuff pays for South of Midnight and all those to exist now. It's just the way the industry is.
One thing I think people, at least they're like, their preconceived thoughts is poorer areas like India, which is a lot of poorer areas, right? People might not have consoles or gaming PCs for sure. Okay. But a mobile phone,
especially in Android,
a necessity, especially in Android, has been a necessity for life for a while now. Like literally, like you need. People are like, "Oh, how's a homeless guy have a phone?" Yeah, you need a phone, guy, bro. Everyone needs a phone these days. Like it's absolutely required. So a place like India that has billions of people, every single one of them has a mobile phone. In fact, they probably have more than one because they have their own brands and their own prices and all that stuff, blah, 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 which makes games like this breakout possible. Right? It's also why mobile is such a big friggin' push and focus in so many places.
You see it in the West, but it's just a different culture, and it does not do the same.
Yeah. Even in the West, people play mobile phones, but it's more so like, like
Candy Crush Solitaire that just came out.
Crush. Yeah, exactly.
Candy Crush Solitaire might end up being Microsoft's biggest release this year. We don't know.
That's insane.
And no one's covering it in game. Like we did. I never even thought to put it in here until it just came up in my head. Oh yeah, they just released a new friggin' very basic solitaire game called Candy Crush Solitaire.
Oh God.
But like if you look at the gameplay on this, it's incredibly basic. It's just number matching. Like it's not even really solitaire or anything.
Like it's more basic than like the solitaire we all played in Windows XP. Like,
oh, insanely so. It is just match numbers in the right order, like match cards. Match four. You got to be either one above or one below, over and over again. That's it.
Oh,
it's just really basic bitch solitaire. I don't even know if they have any freaking gameplay in this trailer. It doesn't seem there's nothing to actually show. Like I played a little bit of it, but if I go gameplay,
does
Android,
it continue the Candy Crush lore though?
I don't remember it doing. There was stuff, but it literally is just match in the right order, and you got to figure that out. And I'm sure it gets a little more complicated over time, but it's just get one above or one below, then draw another card if you can't, and do that over and over again.
You know what? No shade. If you enjoy these kind of games, power to you. Personally, I'm playing friggin' Balatro on my phone, and not this. But hey, both are mobile games, both are card games. So who the heck am I to judge?
Ooh,
right?
Hey, another one of these, which are just out of camera angle, is coming in. The gold for 2024.
Nice.
Neato. But yeah, this game might
Extra
make
Life,
more
right?
money than almost anything else. Yeah, from Extra Life.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is what this controller came in from last year's Extra Life, where we made over $2,000 for a local Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital.
Thanks to you guys. You guys watching and supporting and donating.
And John.
Yes.
He did $250. I can't complain.
Dang, really?
I know.
Someone did like 500 overnight, right?
Not on that one. Before we even started, Torn Raptor did a ton.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Of course. But okay, all right. Moving on. I think approaching near the very end, which is Monster Hunter Wilds got a preview from Eurogamer. We talked a bit about Monster Hunter over the weekend. The beta has been out. It's been playable. I think they extended it a day too.
One day for next weekends.
Next weekends, yes. Okay. Beta's fun. It is extremely fuzzy on Xbox in performance mode, like unplayable levels. But I didn't play it enough to like really get a grasp of like the differences in my. I use Greatsword, right? And I only use flipping Greatsword. But that being said, being able to change where you're aiming in the middle of a swing is pretty big deal.
And once you have the secret unlocked in the main game, not in the beta, but in the main game, you can have 2 weapons when you go out.
Yes.
You got to get on the mount, I think, to get it off of him. So you got to get on your mount, get your other weapon, get off. But just having that, kind of crazy. The big change in this one, and I think it is far and away the most streamlined from what we've seen in both the beta and in this preview from Eurogamer. It is the most streamlined and easy to get into Monster Hunter, bar none by far.
Yes.
Monster Hunter was lovingly obtuse in so many ways. The combat was understandable at its basic levels, but then you find out just how insanely deep weapons can be, which we kind of scared John with But like you can have a lot of fun in this game.
Yeah,
just
I
mashing.
kind of realized I was carrying him. I'm like, oh no, damn it.
It's like, no, you can spend the first 30 hours in this game just having fun and then go, wow, this gets really deep.
Yeah.
But like it's on RE Engine. They've talked before. This build is still just the old build with an extra monster or two. Doesn't have any of the graphical or gameplay changes that launch will have. Like they put Gypseros and one other one in here. I forget the name of them for the beta.
I will say the big changes. One I really like is that when you call for help, you get AI help first, which then are replaced by real players, because that kind of doesn't.
Yeah, you can choose this. People haven't seemed to notice, but this game, I think, is always online. You cannot play it offline.
Yes.
So
yes, there's even a private online.
So
like even the
there's
private mode.
Yeah, there's get automatically match made with other people. Have your own private lobby of up to 100 people. 4 people can go on a quest at once, but you can have 100 friends who just always use the same lobby and hang out, which is really cool. Or I think they call it online single player, where you are online and you can choose to go do multiplayer, but otherwise, if you put up flares or anything like that, you get AI help.
Yes. Which will then, if you want to, be replaced by real players that are answering your SOS call.
So
which I thought is pretty cool.
It's a good compromise for their horrendously bad SOS system from Rise. Because like Monster Hunter Worlds, you could just invite someone and play. You can do that again in here, or use the SOS. You also can, I think, always just invite someone. I don't think it.
Okay.
Like the moment you are going onto a quest, you can just invite people in. If you're all in the same lobby, you're there together. There's no almost Dark Souls-ish. You can only do this specific stuff together, and then you can't invite until this point of a mission, and then they're kicked out when it's over. Like it's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. The big change on this one is the wound system.
Yes.
So as you beat up monsters, you'll notice big gaping wounds on them that you want to plunge your staves into. You hold the left trigger or L2 to aim, and then I think you press the right bumper and attack it and do major damage. That's like one of the big old things.
And thankfully, again, streamlined, so very convenient. When a piece breaks off a monster, you don't gotta go and friggin' pick it up.
It's right in your inventory. See,
Straight in the inventory.
Wound destroyed, rubbery hide gained. Instead of it broke off. Let me stop when I'm done with the fight. Let me walk around and try and find everything. Oh, he walked away. I better hit him with a paintball, or else I'll never find him again. Like, so the little fireflies that tell you where to go were worlds, right?
Yes.
Before you had to mark enemies, and the zones were really small because it was a handheld, and so you had to track them, and it sucked. It was miserable because you just wanted to fight stuff, but so much of it was the hunt. Which I get.
Even World
I just
also
didn't like
had
it.
like you had to find the footprints and the dung and the bones, and it's like, dude, let me just fight this thing, please.
I also love how the monsters are always stupid enough to stand directly under the giant things you can pull down. It's great. Lots of interactivity. A ton, like everything is always happening on the map. So I think that's why performance is a little rough.
Yeah.
It's super simulation heavy again, just like Dragon's Dogma.
Someone apparently followed one of like the cats you save, and they go run all the way back to base. Like they don't teleport there. They don't friggin' get there magically. They literally go through the entire friggin' world to get there. Now, all that's happening while you're playing, which is super cool. There's a lot of cool tech behind these games.
Yeah, and from the previews, it definitely feels like it is a bigger, more bombastic, and less garbage-filled campaign. Because I will say my main complaints for both World and Rise, the two I really played a lot, they just had a lot of not fighting monsters in the campaign. Like Worlds had their giant Goliath moving shit, and was it Rise that had the weird tower defensey type stuff?
Yes.
And neither of them were good.
Yeah,
they both. I just wanted to fight monsters.
And tower defense stuff was fun with the group. I thought.
It
like,
was
I played Rise
miserable
with the group.
solo and okay with a group. But also like in World, you couldn't do most of that the really cool shit in a group. You were just fighting the monsters in a group, and it was a little annoying. This one,
holy crap,
so much more streamlined.
World's like co-op system was the worst ever. Rivaled only by Dark Souls.
Yeah, you had to, and it was worse than Dark Souls because you had to get to a certain part of a mission before you could invite someone. So like, oh, I'm now 20 minutes into this mission. Now I can invite you.
But like, do those guys also got to get through? Does it count for them? Do they need to then invite you again after? Like, come on, it's just it's so stupid.
This game looks fuzzy. Hopefully, it looks and runs better. Like it looks really pretty on a good PC. It's super demanding, so you have to. I mean, good PC.
Monster Hunter World was a game for me that I played in 30, and it was okay. And then I played it again in 60 when the series consoles came.
Mhm.
I feel like that might just be the case. for
Yeah,
this game
and
again,
this
you know?
one's 30 or 60, but the 60 is insanely fuzzy. We'll see
Oh, God.
what's different come launch.
Yeah,
I should be
yeah.
doing the review for us. We'll see. Generally, with Japanese published titles, you can't say anything before launch, so never. It's not like Avowed or South of Midnight. We won't be able to say anything ahead of time.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
and if we get it. Pretty much, I didn't get it is the only thing you'll ever hear from people before a game like this.
Yeah.
Also, the
it'll be a big
cats-
release.
The cats speak English, and I don't like it. You can.
Oh my God.
I'm
I
pretty
hate
sure
that.
you can make them speak cat again.
I hate that so much. It's ugh, God. But either way, I'm sure the game will be good. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, this month is insane. There's a lot of stuff coming, and I think that's the end of our list. We did have a couple questions in chat, but nothing really major. Stuff like, hey, what's your next backwards compatibility game you want from Xbox?
I mean, the only things that could be are going to be the Activision stuff, Activision and Blizzard games.
For me, I still want Jet Set Radio Future. I know we got Jet Set Radio. I want Future. It's a different game. It's better. Give it to me. But other than that, if you want us or someone from the channel to stream the State of Play, let us know. Either tweet us, talk on the Discord. If enough of you guys say it, Jesse will have no choice.
Yeah.
I will have no choice to do it.
And the big thing Thursday show will be all around Avowed. I've played it.
Yes.
I have beaten it, and I've been playing.
Ooh, I'm
I've
looking
played
forward to
through a
picking your
bunch
mind.
more. I've done one
Do it.
playthrough. I've been playing through another one to see just how different it can be. I'll have full impressions and everything. Review is set to premiere at 9 a.m. on Thursday, and we will go live with headlines as early as Aarsal can. And the other thing I can talk about working on is this, which is right behind me, right there. Scuff Valor Pro wired controller.
Oh,
Giving
interesting.
it a work. It's got 4 full back paddles. I think it's, yeah. So keep an eye out for
God, I
that.
really hope the new controller has more buttons.
Yeah.
Really hope it does. But yeah, okay. So tune back in Thursday. I will be here again Thursday, helping co-host.
Yeah, and
the show,
Friday
'cause-
night, we're looking to stream some Elden Ring Night Rain.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Me,
God dang, keep
you,
an eye out for
and
that.
Chengiz.
Oh, that'll be fun.
It might be just me and you on mic.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. And I'll find a way to give you my gameplay or whatever. I'm sure it won't be hard if needed. Even then, it might just be Mike. Okay. Cool. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check back in this Thursday at maybe an hour early. Today we went at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thursday we might go noon.
It's set for
in fact,
1
yeah.
right now. I'll set it for 12, and I'll just
Yeah,
adjust it
that's
if
soon.
not.
That's soon. I'll be back. I'll be back in time for noon. Other than that, thanks for watching. Please tune in on Thursday. We hope you guys have a great day.
Ciao for now.
If you could return, don't let it burn, don't let it fade. I'm sure I'm not being rude, but it's just your attitude. It's tearing me apart, it's ruining everything, and I swore I would be true. And honey, so did you. So why were you holding her hand? Is that the way we stand? Were you lying all the time? Was it just a game to you? But I'm in so deep. You know I'm such a fool for you. You got me wrapped around your finger. Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger? Oh, I thought the world of you. I thought nothing could go wrong. But I was wrong, I was wrong. If you could get by, trying not to lie, things wouldn't be so confused, and I wouldn't feel so used. But you always really knew I just want to be with you, and I'm in so